Pope thing.
Okay. Alright.
Don't fuck with the Pope, you know.
Are we in?
Yep.
Are we in, yeah? Man, them.
I thought we quit.
Is this even me?
Hey, listen, yeah. So, this is how I want to start this. Big up to like all the people that have stuck with us, first and foremost, yeah. I know there was a lot of people that were like, oh, what the hell, what is going on? As you'll probably notice, yeah, it is the end of Halfcast podcast, but it's not the end of us podding. It's absolutely not the end of us podding.
We kind of ruined the moment that we'll never get back, though. You know, like when you actually say goodbye.
Yeah.
Now we can't say goodbye no more.
True. It's like when, remember Sports Direct kept saying that they was closing their stores.
Yeah.
And it was always a closing down sale.
Yeah, exactly.
Until you realise that's just the price of the t-shirt.
But you know what, like, first and foremost as well, yeah, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, it's really important that, especially if you fuck with us as well, yeah, that you stay and you stay for the duration of the conversation, because ultimately a part of this is going to include you. And we've decided, yeah, that especially me as well, yeah, there was like, this was something that was going through my mind over a period of time, but I'll get into that in a bit, yeah. It was very important and very necessary to go for a rebranding stage. But I think that it's like not only important for us to do that, but I think it's also important for you. And I think that like all of us could be in this together in the process of doing it. And I really think it is going to be a sick process. But we're going to get into all of that a little bit later. One thing I never usually do, make sure you subscribe. So if you're on the YouTube, make sure you subscribe, go and do all of that. And if you are listening via any podcast platform here, whatever one is your favorite one, just click the follow on that as well. So you know, you see the updates and you know where we're at. Man, how are you lot? You good? All right?
Yeah.
Give thanks. 2 arms, 2 legs.
Burberry, England.
I'm telling you.
Come on, my brother, man.
You dare. You basically own this brand.
Let's do you know what? What we're gonna do, yeah, is, because I think this is important to do, is to actually go through literally how this all started and how we all kind of connected and whatnot, yeah. Because even with you saying this, there's so much changes that have happened in our lives from the start of this that obviously you would be aware of, yeah. But I think the more that we actually do it and the more that you deep it, like, you'll realize exactly how evident they are. With me, yeah, when like I started podding, I remember the day that I actually started podding. Do you know when this was, Poet?
With Wiley.
So it was before that.
Is it?
It was the 30th of October 2014. And do you know when that? Do you know the significant date in that
30th of what?
30th of October. 2014. Do you know what happened the day before that, Po?
The season was 2 months old.
Red Bull Culture Clash.
Oh,
yeah, you was right though.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Red Bull Culture Clash. Yeah. Lit. Did you go to that? The one in Earls Court?
Yeah, of course.
Boy Better Know, Rebel Sound, Stone Love, and the ASAP Mob.
That was mad.
Insane.
That was crazy. Those fights backstage.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
But do you know what? The reason why I found it so amazing, yeah, was that like Red Bull had embodied something that my dad used to tell me about a lot in terms of sound system culture. And like, see, as a DJ now, I just roll up and I just bring my laptop or whatever and I just plug in. Back then, you had to string up your own sound system, and if you was clashing, say me and you was clashing, Chuckie's sound system over there, Poet's sound system over there. I play for a little piece, you play for a little piece. Whoever's got the nicest sound, you start noticing the crowd kind of gravitate towards that. So when I saw this here, and I saw that the way that, obviously they didn't string up their own sound systems, but they all had their own to play on, and it was like everyone was going from each bit to bit. When I left there, I didn't know who to talk to about it, bro. I just wanted to talk about it. I just left and I'm like, what the this is flipping mad. So I'm already like, had this thing where this stuff with One Extra going on, whatever, which I decided I didn't even want to be a part of anymore. And so I was trying to create my own radio show at home. And then, so I was just talking in my yard, just doing the radio thing and whatnot. But because I had this thing that was going on, I just wanted to just chat about it. So I'm doing the radio show, but in the end, I'm just talking for like 25 minutes about what I thought was sick about it. Remember when Chip did the thing with Tiny? When he did the fire in the booth and that?
That was amazing.
Yeah. That was another thing again. I just wanted to just talk about that stuff. In the mix of it, I did the stuff with Wiley and whatever, which I won't go into. But I remember ringing you, and I remember exactly where I was. And I said, you know what? I remember you messaged me.
What did I say?
You messaged me and you was like, oh, like I think it was like the Wiley thing.
Yeah,
you messaged me and you was like, oh, that's sick, whatever. And I hadn't seen you for a minute because we stopped doing the jump off thing.
And that's where we really connected.
Reconnected. Do
hated
you remember
me,
when I
didn't
called you? Do you remember when I called you? And
you hated me jump off though, innit?
Nah. In the beginning, in the beginning,
I saw a board.
No, in the beginning, obviously, I said, "Oh, nah, man, I just didn't understand you though."
Yeah.
But obviously, over a period of time,
What do you mean?
They were doing some debate thing and they had everything on the wall. I said, "Nah, let's start again." I took everything off the wall.
he was there as unruly.
That's vintage.
But after
Vintage
a period
bro.
of time, we were just like,
You're my
we was
guy,
rolling, like we was rolling heavy. So obviously, I've rang you and I'm like, "Yo, like we should do a thing, we should do a pod, whatever." And then I remember you being hella animated on the phone.
Gassed.
What? Yeah, because I want to talk about blah. You want to just hot people up,
I
yeah?
loved it.
Do you remember like when me going to link you in North London to discuss it a little bit? Do you remember that?
Was it in the Shisha Lounge? Come on. The Shisha Lounge, I had that on lock. All you cats are new to Shisha. We were out here with my Turkish gang. Shout out the whole of my Turkish family. Okan. Atta.
What, them man, yeah?
What? Uncle G. My brother. Barros.
Right.
Those are my brother. Ali, I miss you, my brother. And then they showed Chuckie some love. And
Yeah,
I was really
yeah.
happy about that, man.
Yeah. So then, after me and you had that conversation, I'm like, all I need to do now is I just need to find a place, like a studio, that we could do it in. So Casa, who's highly from Weston's brother, his older brother, he was the one who hit me and said, like them man have recorded something in Labatt Grove. Maybe you should just go down there.
Hey, do you remember how few studios there were?
There was no
There
studios,
were no
bro.
studios.
Talk on that.
There was nothing.
Nothing, bro.
There was youth clubs, and then there was the big studios, the £80 an hour studios, the ones that you can't afford. Most people can't afford.
Yeah.
There was no halfway houses.
And do you know what's so bad about it? There were so few studios, like, people now won't understand. You could say,
Yeah.
I want to record something, and there's tons of studios in your area.
Yeah.
Cause
Bet.
if I couldn't record in the one studio chocolate factory, I had to come here.
Right.
I've got nothing to do with West
there was
London.
like 5 studios in London.
Yeah,
Like,
literally.
there was like 2 would have been in like Bermondsey. Like that kind of area had a couple in the industrial estate there. West had around only a couple.
But also, when you say like studios, we're even talking like affordable studios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the other studios were
Not-
like, yo, labels were spending peas to
Yeah.
get like, it was ridiculous to even have the
You
idea
couldn't
of
even
trying to
think.
record.
Yeah, you couldn't go. You was no point thinking about it.
And don't even talk about places to do a podcast.
Right.
That
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
exist.
Podcast didn't.
That didn't
It
exist.
didn't exist.
Mothers, like, this is the blueprint. Like, Halfcast, in many ways, is the blueprint for what a podcast studio even looks like now.
Yeah.
Because no one knew what a podcast studio was, what it's supposed to look like. Like, no one had sofas.
Yeah.
That was like, sofas was unheard of. Like, realistically, if you're doing a podcast, you was probably in a radio station.
Yeah.
Doing your podcast.
But
And
your
the way-
studio. Go on,
sorry,
sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say your studio. What made it so sick is we'll never ever see it now because it wasn't documented like that. There's a couple pictures.
Yeah.
But it was a very
It was a strip club.
no lava, intimate environment.
Facts.
It was a strip club.
I just remember walking in and seeing alcohol to the left.
Yeah.
3 things. I was like, what? You can pour your alcohol.
And the
here?
lights were low.
The low purple lighting.
Yes.
Animated pictures in and around the situation. Shout out J King, obviously he was out there with his pictures. And I remember looking at this environment like, yeah, I can chat in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can chat
And
in
then
here.
but you know them times, because there was like no one really knew podcasts like that. I'm setting. Do you know how long it was setting up? It's not long, but you know, like setting up stuff.
Yeah.
Every time for conversations.
Yeah.
And then after a couple of weeks, I decided I don't want to set up no more. I want these mics to stay here.
Here, yeah.
So then, you know, like you start getting arms that like go to parts of the sofa.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, I look in every podcast studio.
They got this.
Everyone's got arms and that, but I didn't see that from anywhere. Like it was just convenience.
Yeah, because the number that I got was your number, innit?
Yeah.
So I've rang you, I've linked you, then I've walked. I remember going in and thinking this is perfect because of exactly what you said. Lights low, the color of it, whatever, just the whole setting.
The
of
sofas
it.
was even opposite each other.
Yeah,
it was ready.
Exactly.
And you know what's so nice as well? Like basically, when you used to get there, it was just on. For me, this is I didn't come West London that much, so I've come. There's a roundabout, and I can see a Sainsbury's, and then there's just a road that goes straight. And on the left-hand side, next to like some fencing that came down, there was like a little hole you had to climb through, and then you walk, and then it was like a decent setting outside. And then when you walk through on the right-hand side now, it just looked like any random mash-up hospital. And you keep walking through, and then you go down this small little staircase, and then you come through, and you're like, raw.
Yeah.
I can't lie to you, it was sick.
It was magical. It
was
magical.
early.
It was magical.
Super magical.
It's like the toilet.
And I remember also saying to you, I was like, because you was like, what do you need? And I was like, you know what? I just need a couple of mics. Because it's just like, we were just talking.
I hadn't recorded a podcast before that.
Yeah.
I knew sound is sound, so I know how to get sound.
Right.
But as in, I'd never record. When you're talking to me about a podcast, I'm like, yeah, but what are you talking about? Yeah. That's kind of my thing is like, I don't really, even though I know
when you saw me and Poet sitting and just talking, like do you remember what you was thinking at the time? When you
my first thoughts was, because I'd not done this, it's not easy when you're doing music, but as in your takes are, at most a couple minutes long and they're just one thing. You're in there, someone's in there. This is simultaneous mics at the same time, conversations. So I remember first early doors, all I was doing was checking that this audio actually exists. That was me at first. I was just trying to work out, is this working?
Simple.
Like, is this working?
Come on.
And then obviously, I think them days, even from like the first episode, I would love to hear that first episode.
It's still there. I want to
know.
I think that's the only one that's on SoundCloud.
I want to, as in like...
It was called something like, what are you musically excited about? Because I remember we was sitting and just talking about music.
And then every now and then, you would say something that I have to respond to.
Yep. Yeah.
Especially about sex.
Yeah. No, but that wasn't the first episode. You didn't start coming in until maybe like...
Fifth, sixth?
Yeah, maybe fifth, sixth. Going into
maybe as it got less musical and more...
cruddy.
Yeah.
The first episode, right, producer Dan. This is what it was. Mm-hmm. So at first, the very first episode, two things. One, we went into that without a name.
Of course.
We also went into that not knowing when we was doing it again, because I was like, after we did that, I was like, oh yeah, that was a vibes. I was like, oh yeah, like when should you said, when should we do it again?
Yeah.
I said, let's do it next month. You said, no, big man, let's do it next week.
Yeah, that's what, because you know what it was? Word. By that time, that's 2015.
Yeah.
So by that time, I'm 3 years in a machine on how things work. And on top of that, that's how I used to work. Yeah. We go again. No one remembers, we go again. So then when you was like, next month, in my head, I'm like, big man, this is not how this thing works. We keep going.
But you know what's crazy? Because at the time, what's that? 7 years ago almost or whatever.
Yeah, coming up to 7.
That would, one podcast a month might not have been far fetched.
Yeah,
as in, like you saying that, like there wasn't really a blueprint.
Brother,
but for me, I was just
you knew it was content.
Yeah.
No,
no.
But you know, like how even up to a couple years ago, some podcasts could probably get away with releasing once every 2 weeks. Yeah. Now it's very obvious it needs to be here weekly, pretty much.
But you know why as well though? It was the energy. I love when I have feeling, because it's got nothing to do with like anything other than how I feel. And I'm like, this feels amazing. Now, if I leave it too long, I will forget how it felt, and then I might just go and do something else. Whereas if as long as I can remember this, let's go do it again.
Striking while the iron's hot in it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And obviously there was like, people podcasting. It just wasn't a thing like that.
Was that in this world? Was there any?
In our scene in I was not aware of one. I wasn't aware of one at all. And in fact, I remember when I was doing these long form conversation stuff and just talking and that. Initially, the first feedback that I was getting was, split them into 10-minute segments. That's what people was telling me. Split them into 10-minute segments because they were a bit long. Whereas I was on a vibe of, I just think if you just think it's interesting, then why would you just not listen to it? You just would, wouldn't you? So I'm like, nah, I wouldn't do that. But some people might have taken that feedback and thought, yeah, maybe it is because no one listens to. You're just used to listening to radio, and with radio, you might have those links where they play a song and they might talk for 5 or 10 minutes. You might be okay with that or used to that, but you're just not used to listening to two people talking for an hour.
Furthermore, I remember, because these times I was going BBC, do you know what, yeah? I need to stop being like this. The arrogance is coming back. It's because of the children. There was people at the BBC, and I remember saying to them, I don't agree. They were saying to me, Poe, what you should do is what you said. And then they said you should put adverts in it and all of that. And then I remember saying to her, you're thinking nothing like a consumer. I said to her, do you know why I like Match of the Day? She goes, why? I said, because there's no breaks. So if this is good, why would you want a break? We're not in Jamaican cinema where they have a break halfway through and then you might not even come back after you get so drunk. Like, we should just listen to this shit.
Yeah.
I won't say the person's name because Emma will get upset. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no, Dan! I've had enough. She was wrong. She was very wrong. No, I didn't have
when we started, yeah, we were very...
Since when?
No, right, that's the next door.
Oh, rascal.
I just couldn't be bothered to go and get them and take them in.
Okay. So like, even when it started, obviously there was a lot of things. There was certain things for shock value, but not like. I will always stand by the fact that we were always and have always gone for having organic conversations about things that we just feel passionate about. The things that we are passionate about is our culture, where we come from, our environment and music. And initially, most of the episodes that we was doing in the beginning were basically all music stuff. Mm-hmm. That was mainly what we was doing. And then later on, I think like it started to change a little bit, more so from the premise of it being music. But when we started, we might just be talking about some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, man might be talking about gal or this, that and the other or whatever it may be. And then we would go back into something that was more music based. But then, yeah, came up with the name Halfcast Podcast, yeah. At the time, I knew this name is
problematic.
It's problematic. It's problematic. But you know what? In my head, I thought there's a slogan behind it. We'll just make a play on words and it will get people's attention. That was sort of like where my mind was at with it at the time. Also understanding that like I never envisioned what we could actually do with the podcast until maybe a bunch of episodes in. Because again, remember when I came and sat down with you and we sat down and we did the episode, I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just do it again next month. You're like, let's do it again next week. The next week thing wasn't in my mind, and it wasn't a process for me. That was just something that I thought was a great idea from you. You know what? Yeah, why not? But just come and just catch your vibes and whatnot. And you had your career. You was doing stuff with. You was all over the place. And then I was still DJing a lot with artists and just doing clubs and stuff. So for me, it was like there wasn't anything to look to and say, oh, do you know what? We could potentially do this or we could potentially be that. It was more like, I'm DJing and I love music and I'm playing around. I'm just with artists and stuff. Poets in a big part of our culture and is filming and doing all kinds of stuff. When we just got some time off and we're here every once a week, we'll just take some time and we'll just catch up as friends and talk about music and whatever it is that is happening at the time.
Can I pause you there?
Go on.
This is what I thought. I said to myself, I'm at Copa 90. We get this many views. But we're not really speaking to our people then. So around 2015, 2014 was when I started going into, I need to go and make projects to talk to my people. So when you had spoke to me, I had that energy because I remember it now. I was like, yes, because there's bare things that I'm not addressing because I'm too busy doing Copa 90 Hollywood bullshit. I don't like that. There's things happening and I used to always talk about it on That's a Rap. So in my head it was, cool. At least 30% of that audience will be the audience that I want to speak to. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about Halfcast on Copa 90. Yeah. And I'm going to speak about Chuckie on Copa 90. But it needs to happen regularly so I can speak about it every week. And I knew you didn't get it. But my whole thing was talk about it here and shed down. If I thought about it as a network, if that's the biggest thing, if I keep talking it down, I can filter down the audience and the people them to come to the podcast. And one place I knew it picked up was in Sweden. Because in Sweden I was going there so frequently and speaking about it. People naturally went from Copa 90 to listening to the podcast in Sweden. Like literally, they'll be like, yeah, I listened to you speak about Halfcast on Copenhagen on Comedy, so I just came and listened to it straight away. So I knew that was a natural reach for us to just grab an audience, and from there.
I think after a bunch of episodes, I started thinking, oh, right, like, there's like all of these different types of conversations that we could have. So my mind started racing on that, like all of these different types of conversations and that. And then that you started to become, because we was calling you producer Dan and that, you was starting to chime in a bit. And I remember thinking, you know what? You kind of need a mic. Or you need, like, even if it's like a mic, but the mic might be a little bit dimmed a bit, but it's like we could hear you clearer. Do you know what I mean?
But you know what? I kind of like.
You used to come, I used to move out the way.
And I used to be like this.
Say, oh yeah.
And then, But the thing is, it kind of worked, because I can't remember what I was saying when I was having my little outburst or whatever. But it was usually like the type of comment that would be the clip.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
would be the meme.
Yeah.
Or would be. It was probably best I didn't have a mic for all of those occasions.
Right.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
But
then man was like, because I remember saying as well, listen, bruv, the way that things are going right now, you ain't even producing that, brother. This brother is a savage, bro.
And the
savage
name came.
Then the name came, and you started owning that, and I just thought like, it just, everything started to almost fall into place, and it started to now, for me, and I'm assuming for you as well, it just felt like a home. It just felt like this is a place now. I'm just with my brethrens, like, and I could just be as free as I wanted to be, and we could just do whatever we wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? We were very limited in guests. I think like one of the only guests, like some of the guests that we had were just people that we was cool with.
Wretch.
Well, I was going to get to that part, but I think.
Oh, do you mean at the early stages?
Snips came.
Yeah, Snips would definitely
came. Marvin Sparks came. I remember he came.
Was I there when Marvin came? I was there when Marvin came. Of course I was.
Yeah. Yasmin came. Yeah, Yasmin Evans came. Who else was there? Like early on. Vuj was early on as well. I don't know if Mitch was early on.
No.
Mitch wasn't early on. But then Wretch was like the first artist that we had.
Okay.
That came on.
Was that even
and I think that was
was in the neck. Was that in the neck?
It was
that was still in the first studio.
First one.
I think he was probably the first and only artist that we had all the way up to the 100th episode.
Shout out to him for doing that as well, you know, because it wasn't really a form of media that was respected at the time the way it has the sort of respect it has now. It was sort of like, oh, is that what you're doing? That's the way it was sort of deemed and looked at. So the fact that Wretch looked at it as a service to the community and came and contributed, shouts out and thanks and love.
Because you know what it's like, innit? Like when you feel like you're above something sometimes, and then something's in West London. And
Exactly.
And there's no budget.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I'm saying, like that is that, like, and that's where he was then.
Yeah,
100.
So I'm saying, like,
he's always been there.
The first question is usually what's the budget.
Yeah, exactly.
So like you have to rate him for that. 100%.
After a period of time, though, I think in my heart, when I started to see like there was a lot more podcasts popping up and stuff like that, and it became a thing that a lot more people wanted to do. And then there was like more things that I felt like I wanted to do. I remember like the name being a thing for people, and I also remember going back and forth with an artist on it, and he was saying to me, like, you know, like that term is like what stupid people call mixed race people and that, Then I was like, but there's a play on words on it and whatnot, and like my ego said to me at the time, if I'm being totally honest, my ego said to me at the time, it's like, this is a thing for some of yous, but like, it just feels so okay to just say nigga. Like, it's just all right to just say that. Yeah. That was something that was in my mind. Like, and you are saying that a lot still. And so like, I pushed my ego to the side a bit, and then when the first person who actually came up to me told me that they listened to the pod. This is a side note, by the way. I was at Shaka's show, and I remember we did an episode talking when you was telling me about Etta Bond, because I didn't really know about Etta Bond. And me and you I was talking about Shaka, you was talking about Etta, but I remember someone coming up to me, the first person at the show came up and said, "Oh, like I listened to the podcast and I proper love it and that, yeah." And that was like the first time I'd heard that, and I thought, "Oh, like that inspired me." Do you know what I mean?
Serious?
That proper inspired me, because I knew that obviously people when I was listening, but I just wasn't. I was going on. I was just DJing and just doing whatever. Like I had built a name over there. So a lot
you
of the time,
in the content world, so you never would have come across. I hear you.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then, but then I remember like going to Wireless and stuff like that, and then like sometimes people come up and they mention it or whatever. But then the name was a thing for a lot of people. It was like why did you call it that? And I was always say, if you listen to the podcast, I'd always say in the beginning, what was the intro? Yeah, you get me. Like did all of that. Two guys after started.
I miss that. I've heard you do that in a long time.
Do you know what it is? I just felt like I was getting older. I just felt like I was, you know when you start getting older a little bit, and it's like, I just didn't want to always just be like, that's not how I felt every time. And also, I think like, without even, even thinking about it now, it's like, sometimes when I come to my yard, I just want to just be how I am when I get to my yard.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Like today, when I get to my yard today, I don't feel like saying skirt.
Yeah.
Like it's not the vibe for me today.
I mean, it was never really the vibe for me, but
is that still? I don't know why I said it, but it just was a thing.
It was sick, bro. It was sick.
Nostalgic,
it was a nice way of
man.
announcing
It is
stuff.
nostalgic. I forgot even until you did
Just you doing that, I was like, oh wow, man. Feels like a back then.
Do you know what I liked about it though? It was structure in it without you even knowing. You knew when you switched it on, the consumer would be so happy. I love those things. I've always loved structure and having a beginning, because I watched it like with The Simpsons. They had a structure and you recognized it and you liked it. And I just like that thing. I thought it was genius, to be honest with you. I thought it was fucking genius.
Do you have any like, because even the early memories of the audio, because remember the first 99 episodes was all audio. Yeah. There was you went through a lot of things in that period as well. Like we were saying off camera, or off recording, there was one episode you didn't turn up. Like, yo, like me and Dan sitting in the studio, whatever. Where are you? You're like, brother, I think my missus is pregnant with twins. I'm like, what?
Yeah, bro.
Like, what are you talking about?
I'll tell you something, I'll never forget that day. The podcast was the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yo, man's doing this poet thing, it's finally working, money's running, I got my little curly hair girlfriend, and yeah, man, we're in. Then I flew to Sweden, heard she's pregnant. I said, all right, man can deal with that. I remember having to come to the podcast and getting a text. Bare phone calls. What's the problem, man? You're already pregnant. Like, allow me now, man. I'm stressed over here. You mean there's two of these brothers?
2 brothers.
And God forgive me for things like, but at the start, it's all beautiful now, but it's not beautiful at the start.
Yeah, your mind's all over the place.
Yeah.
What? Scattered. I'm thinking me I forget twice the room.
Yeah. But
Twice
it's
the
double the money.
pajamas.
Double the money, everything.
Double and I've just come into
Money.
Chuckie. I said, what? I can't even stay here for like 5 years. Me have to,
Yeah.
straight away, you have to take it.
Yeah.
But nah, man, blessings though. That was the biggest one for me in all the audio ones.
We I think as well, like then obviously Dan was, because you had the studio and a lot of people was recording pods and stuff like that. I know you was jumping on like some other pods and that, and you ended up becoming a thing even outside of that because of.
But we've missed a big gap. We've missed a big part of it.
Where no one knew what I looked like.
Yeah, we missed a big part.
Yeah, that was
one
a
big
thing.
part that, and I have to give Chuckie bare credit for this, because obviously doing the podcast and hitting me up and all of that was because I was the guy, like everyone knew Poet at the time. Blood, the amount of people that were like, Poet, I want to do a podcast. Where do I go? And naturally, I was like, Dan. And so all that's happened is just off the back of us doing the podcast, Dan's now getting more business to do podcasts because there is no other place to do it. So this becomes almost the base and the home and the hub until everybody else figures it out.
The worst thing is it was a blessing and a curse, because all the artists, at the time I was like engineering for a few big ones, and I was thinking to myself, they're getting pissed off with me because everyone keeps having conversations in music studios.
Yeah.
And I only had one.
Yeah.
Like literally, so like man, they'll phone me for a 4-hour session. I'm like, bro, it's not there. It's not there, and it's not there tomorrow or the day after because there's so many podcasts right now.
Yeah.
And that was like, at that point where I realized, shit, like you're gonna have to get out of it because people are gonna start
outgrowing it.
Yeah.
What do you mean? You should have realised shit out of Chuckie Bread. He's giving you your name.
No. Dan, actually, there was a conversation me and Dan had on the phone, actually. I remember it. Dan, you said to me, you know what? Forget about it. You're making me rich.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, like, obviously, man was doing, he's like, bro, trust me, bro. Like, it's fine. Like, don't even worry about it, bro. I'm just getting a whole bunch of clientele. You moved from there to acting. You moved from there to acting, though.
I moved from there. So it didn't really pop off. Remember, I was only in that one for a year. In the first one.
Then you moved to acting.
Then I moved to acting, but I was only there for like 4 months.
Then moved to...
Then once I was there, that felt like home.
Right.
Did you have free shots?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Taser phoned me
70,
and I said...
Yeah.
Taser phoned me, I said, yo, you got
They started when I was in acting.
Yeah, so...
Right.
But then I wasn't in acting for long. It was... Do you remember?
I remember
it was like
that.
dingy. Yeah. It was like...
It was horrible.
And I wanted to be back in Grove.
The toilet was terrible as well.
Yeah, that one there was that felt like a step down.
The toilet basically, you walked when you came through that really dingy corridor that looked like some fucking horror film.
Yeah, you thought you was gonna get.
To your right, there was a toilet. The door was always open, so that's why I knew it was never clean.
Right. Yeah.
It's always
I don't
open.
even remember that building like that. I just remember having to go downstairs of death.
Yes, you walk in, the receptionist to your left hand side, and then if you walk a little bit and to your right, there's a spiral staircase. You go down the staircase, and then all of a sudden,
your memory is sick. Yeah. That was my studio. I can't even walk there now. I don't have a clue where I'm going.
I know where it is, but I can't remember it.
You get to Shepherd's Bush. Shepherd's Bush will be on your right hand side. You go straight up that.
Is there a petrol station in Acton? Like,
it was right next to the left side.
And there's bare like Mercedes.
I might not have been able to work my way into the thing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was there. But I remember I had to move there because they gave me 28 days. They were trying to turn that other building into flats.
Right.
So everyone just got hit with 28 days. Everyone needs to be out. So went to Acton. Didn't want to be in Acton. Left Acton. Then once you're there, you're back. It's already there, isn't it? It's across the road. And then all of a sudden it feels like home. So I was there for a bit. And that's when things started to grow and grow and grow. And that was where, over there is where CALUM...
No. CALUM came to when we was in...
Yeah, that's
across
what
the road.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The big room.
Yeah, the big room. That was home.
Massive carpet.
Yeah.
That was home.
Yeah.
I miss that.
Well, he came a little while after that because I remember we did like... I remember I did an episode with Maya Jama. You didn't... I don't know why you weren't there. I think you didn't turn up.
Do you know what though, Chuckie, allow me, man. One time I done the podcast, I was in 4 different countries in that week. Yeah. I come to the podcast like, hi guys. Fucked, bro. Like them days I was overworked.
You was working.
Yeah, he was definitely outside, boy. But I think prior to that moment, I'd already in my mind started thinking. I think when we was around like the 60th episode, I was already thinking we could film this, you know. I didn't know how it looked, but that was just a thought that was in my head. We could just film this. And then so I lightly started just having that there, like as a thing, like, oh yeah, I want to film it. I don't know how, I don't know who's going to do it, but I think it would be sick if it was filmed. So I'd like talk to a couple of people and I'll just be like, yeah, I'm doing this podcast and I want to get it filmed or whatnot. And I'd give my number to people and that, but no one, I just didn't feel like anyone wanted to do it and I wasn't pushing it. Do you get me? So I'll give you my number. Oh yeah, you got a camera. Boom, yeah, I want to film. Have you got 2? Boom, yeah, let's try and work something out. Exchange numbers and then just wouldn't hear nothing or I wouldn't chat them or whatnot. But then I went to, it was Psalms.
It was Psalm, yeah.
Yeah, Psalm Studio, yeah. Angel was in there recording and CALUM was there. And then I said to CALUM, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I want to film something or the other. We had a light conversation about it. I think you gave me a card or whatever.
And then we met up.
Yeah, so I didn't shout. You shouted me.
I shouted you.
Yeah, you shouted me and you was like, yo, what's going on about this thing? So I was like, you know what? Cool. We linked in Lab at Grove, talked about it. But even then, I didn't really know how I wanted it filmed. And I don't think it was just more of a thing of...
I didn't really know what it was, to be honest. But that's when you said, come down and like watch me record it.
Yeah.
So I came down that one time and there was a guy talking about his stuff, like mental health stuff, I think. And I was just there watching on the couch. I didn't film or anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
so you just watched it?
Just seeing the room for the first time and also just seeing what the podcast was about.
Yeah,
You don't even remember that, do you?
I don't even remember that. But then, obviously, I remember you set up the cameras and whatnot, and it was just about kind of just figuring out the teething problems and like how it would look and all of that.
I forgot
And then
how that looked. I don't even know what the camera angles were.
I remember.
Honestly,
You had-
exactly the same as
Exactly
they are
the
now.
same.
Don't you remember?
We need to
Where
put,
were
we,
they? It wasn't
you know what we gotta do?
No,
We gotta
no,
put
no,
pictures
no,
on the screen.
Honestly,
We need to
yeah,
put pictures on the
we'll
screen.
put
So
pictures
you
on the
remember
screen.
you had it. What you had was you had the carpet on the door,
Yeah.
and you had the booth to
Oh,
the
it was
right,
that,
and then
innit?
in Chuckie
So,
would
and that
have
was Chuckie, and the
this.
door was behind
Yeah,
him.
it was
Alright.
behind him, and this
And
couch
then the
was
other
there.
one was
but it was just a bit
us.
further
There was
down.
two.
Yeah.
You had the guest to the left, and then you
Yeah.
had the sofa that I would always sit on, which was directly in front of the.
And then it was like this.
I
Yeah, it
told
was like
you.
this.
And then
There
that
was another
sofa was
couch
very
there.
rarely on camera.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Very- yeah.
You was
Yeah,
there.
your
Yeah,
first
I was
appearance,
there.
you were there.
Yeah.
Remember
So what ended up happening now is, when I saw the first clip of it, I thought, oh, this is it. I just thought, this is it. And then we just started posting, before we put anything on YouTube, we were posting clips.
Just on Instagram.
Just
yeah.
on Instagram first. It was just that. And it was only like...
For a while, for a few months.
For time, yeah. Because then I was like, you know what? We might as well do it properly on the 100th episode.
Yeah.
Like, we might as well launch it properly on the 100th episode.
Can I just say that? So cut you. That was genius. Continue.
Yeah.
I think that was absolutely.
It was a great
100th episode.
Yeah.
And I remember speaking to JME, and I was like, oh, I want you to... And he was like, you know what? I'll come on the 100th episode. So I was like, you know what? Yeah. When we
Perfect.
record that, then he will be on. Do you know what I mean? So on the 100th episode, he was there and that was the first one that went on YouTube. And also, I think we didn't put a lot of it on. It was like 13 minutes, 15 minutes at a time
They were
each
quite
time.
short.
Do you know
It was
what you
quite short.
did? You went to the ends and you just gave man a spliff and said, try that. And then you bust out. And then you might come back like a week later and say, what you think of that thing? That was alright. And oh, the next thing. By the time the month, the guy has brought you £50 and said, give me them flavours. You are a genius in my head. But I keep seeing it on Instagram. Before you know it, there is a demand that is on YouTube,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
you already have an audience of people.
Yeah.
This is genius.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're sitting back.
It wasn't even by accident. It was. You weren't thinking about it, but it weren't by accident.
It wasn't really by accident. I remember you
Yeah,
said
it
that
was,
was the plan.
It was the plan, but you know, like, I'm not thinking of it of a plan of like,
This
if
is gonna
we
make
do,
people
then it's
go
gonna
crazy.
do that.
Yeah,
I
it
just
wasn't
thought this is how I feel like it just works best.
Yeah.
Like, if we just,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense us just putting the whole thing on YouTube one time like that. Let's just build it up slowly. Let's just put clips up first, and then once we're ready, then we'll start doing YouTube. But then it will just be
Short.
specific, short, whatnot, and we'll just keep rolling with that. And then after a while, people were like, "Nah, man,
need more, we need
yeah, you
more."
need more." And they
Clips
wanted,
got longer.
the clips got longer and stuff.
People used to message me like, "Oh, Paul, why don't you put the whole thing on YouTube?" But I don't know.
I always wanted
people
that.
still
I always
say
wanted it separate between like the. I always wanted there to be a reason for why people would go to the audio and a reason for why people would go to the visual. So it was like, you know what?
Yeah.
The visual side, yeah, boom, you can see certain reactions and whatnot, yeah. But if you want to hear the full conversation, you got to go to the audio. And it's still kind of elements of it. It still can be still like that now because we still cut it in half at times, and then people can go and listen to the whole thing and then I think the visual side started to grow to a point where I think people didn't even realize that there was so much of an audio side. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? I didn't even realize that there's like a whole thing happening over there. But then we like
by
there
that
was
time. Sorry to cut you. By that time, it's because everyone's doing podcasts now, and everyone's just gone from podcast visual. Where we had to sort of take that journey purely because it was non-existent,
Right.
and create the path.
Right.
Once the path's created and the blueprint's there, I think everyone being there, which helped our podcast obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
We were
Everyone
the
was
first,
doing it.
or if not the first to film.
It was the
podcast.
first because I remember there was a few that was at. Where else was filming? Radar.
Radar was
Yeah,
filming, but they weren't filming. They
stuff,
were
but
doing
it was,
podcasts.
radio.
Yeah, they
stories.
was doing a couple.
and I think they were after us anyway.
Podcasts.
There was
Well,
a
after
couple
us,
there was
or
a-
before
I
us.
think
There
they
was
were
a
after.
couple. No, not before.
Yeah, after.
This was
Oh,
the
after
trigger
us.
again.
Oh yeah. I did a podcast
That's
with
actually a
them.
good point.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I did a podcast with them with Benny.
with Benny neighborhood.
Yeah.
So basically, Halfcast just birthed all these bitches.
Not necessarily.
bitches.
Not necessarily. I think
No,
I
it
think
was in many ways. It was.
There were
the
people like it
blueprint.
before.
It was like in terms of you start it and then you see a rise in audio podcasts, and then you start filming it, and you start to see a rise in
the visual side of
There
it.
was never a point where Halfcast was like behind the trend.
So you're just politely saying you birthed them.
Nah, I wouldn't say that.
him.
Nah.
It's all Chuckie.
Yeah.
It's all Chuckie.
Nah.
Let's
I
not
don't-
pretend it's not. It's
yeah,
all
nah,
Chuckie.
I don't feel
bro.
comfortable with saying that. I feel comfortable in saying that, like, within our culture, we were the first prominent ones to bust through like that. And then you know, you started to see what happened with free shots and receipts and like other people, like they were coming through and just and there was stuff happening. There was stuff happening. But in my mind, I was always like, we're on our own race here at the moment, and there's certain things that I feel like we can do that is different, and I always just wanted to be different. I didn't want to be, you know, there's like a lot happening at the moment and we're falling into the same things of what everyone else is doing. I just wanted to just make sure that we were organically different without forcing the issue. Do you get me?
I don't think you had to worry about that.
No. Yeah.
Purely because of the dynamics, and most importantly because you're the first. So when you're the first, without you even knowing, for a long period of time, people just sit down and wait for you to make the move for them to know the next move. They don't know it. True.
So otherwise, what people end up doing is maxing out the move that you made in the first place, but they just take it further. But it's not anything new. I'm trying to think of anything new that's happened recently. Nothing yet.
Not much new. I mean, that would be a whole conversation, innit? Trying to unpack that. But I just think that like
I know what's next.
Then there was like all of these other little moments. So like you was off camera, but you was a super prominent voice, and there was a demand to see what you look like. Yeah. Then we had guests.
Oh, there was, bro.
We had all these different types.
So I said the girls weren't vexed when they saw as well.
Yeah, no, I know. You. I think Filthy Fellas.
My cousin, by the way.
Filthy Fellas was the first place.
Bro, I'm telling you. You see, one time he left his Chelsea pass. You left the Chelsea pass in the first studio. And I remember looking at it like, Carl Stewart. I was like, why you got the same? No one's got this surname. Yeah. No one. And the worst thing is, me and Kirk have been friends on Facebook since like 2000 and whenever it started. So I was like, nah, that's my cousin. It has to, like, it just don't make any sense.
Yeah.
This is before anything.
Skin tones resemblance.
Cousin's buff, so I'm buff. This is the way I'm looking at it now.
From the same place in Jamaica.
I remember how the Filthy Fellas thing linked as well, because you was, at the time, you lot was looking for someone, a Chelsea guy, innit? And then you was like, what, bruv? I remember you backed off the top. You was like, bro, I got the Chelsea
badge.
Yeah, on my chest.
But you know what? Shouts out to Mitch though. Mitch was the person that was on me to get Dan in.
Okay.
On me. But with me, the only reason why I take my time is because I know everything's nice at the start. I know everyone's on it at the start. If 6 weeks later we're still talking about this, let's get involved.
Right.
But right at the start, so when Dan was still on, I was like, and then now obviously you helped run the channel.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, brother,
that was your first time of being on camera like that was on Filthy Fellas.
Yeah,
first.
It was the first one.
Yeah,
because I remember I didn't even want my name to be on there as Savage Dan.
Okay.
I think I said to Tigo to put it as something else.
Okay.
But he just rushed the episode out. It was out the next day, like 6 p.m.
I think he might have even asked me, and I would have just been like, "Forget him."
There was an episode with an emoji over your face. Do you remember that?
On Halfcast, yeah.
But that was weird. I don't know why. I can't remember why we did that, because you had already been.
I remember
out. Your face was already on Halfcast.
But you know, back then nothing quite was that linked yet. Now we've got like a thing where things are, like, once they've clocked that, they know everything.
Yeah.
Back then it's like you could have seen that and missed this.
But I remember people were pissed about that emoji.
Because they wanted to see you so bad. That was 12 things men people don't talk about.
Angry.
Oh yeah,
that was a classic episode.
Is it?
Still. Yeah.
Oh yeah, with
that was with Slick.
Yeah, Slick.
And it was a girl. There was a girl there as well.
Were people that angry?
Yes.
They were hella vexed.
They were pissed.
The comments were mad.
They were pissed.
Ain't that amazing? People cared that much about a product created.
Yeah.
By the man them.
It's mad.
Yeah, man. So like, there was like all these. I remember. Swiss Beats came. That was a thing.
Mad.
That was a thing.
That was crazy.
Like,
and he was there when I was building these.
Yeah.
Because I think I opened.
It was just before.
Yeah.
I was building these.
Yeah.
Like, I was across the road, like building walls and shit. Like
that was
all the time.
That was one of our last episodes in that studio, if not the last episode.
Gigs was a moment still.
That was the best one, because when you forced man to like verses, and that's the best one.
Do you know what it was?
That one.
How that episode came about to this day is hella funny to me. Remember, I rang Poet. You know, what happened is, me and Poet had a conversation about something. I said I didn't like a bar or whatnot. Then I've got.
It was Ultimate Gangster. And I was saying to you, this
it was
is
the one with
cold.
2 Chainz.
Yeah,
you didn't realise
I was like,
Chainz
this is sick, bro. Listen to.
So we had a debate about it.
Yeah.
Then I've got a message from Buck.
Oh no.
Giggs is done, innit, yeah? And he's like, yo, I can't even remember what he said, like, but he was like, oh yeah, call this number or something, yeah? So I'm thinking, what? So I've called the number now, but it wasn't Buck. As soon as I answered the phone, I was just like, this was like 10 this was like 10:30 in the morning. Listen, yeah, hey Dan, you know I've gone from being super tired to awake because I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm chatting to Giggs.
Why was the sound so perfect? That was it,
bro, really. Even the facial expression, I was like, maybe.
I'm like, nah. What? I was like, what's going on? He's like, yo. He's like, basically, yeah. Let's do an episode on a gangster thing, innit? Then I'm thinking, what? I'm like, you know what, yeah? He's like, this is what you need. He's told me I need to go to a hotel, or that we need to go to a hotel to go and do it or whatever. So I'm like, let me shout you back. I've rang Poet immediately, yeah, because I'm like, I remember hearing this story with Vlad where where Rick Ross told him, link me at a hotel. Yeah. He's gone to the hotel and he's got his lights punched out of him. So I've rang Poet, yeah, and I'm like, yo, imagine I've spoken to Giggs on the phone. You're like, rah, wow, what did you do? Him saying that was the worst thing that could have said, because that made my anxiety go through the roof. Because I'm thinking, what did we do? Like, I don't understand. Like, so I said, he's told us we need to go to thing or whatnot. Then you said, well, just tell him that we can't do that because we don't move. We just don't do that, innit? So I'm like, yeah, do you know what?
Disrespect things.
I said, yeah, do you know what?
Operate our business.
So I've rang him back now thinking, what I'm going to tell him is going to determine where I know where his head's at.
Yeah,
because if I say to him, yeah, we just don't really move the pod or whatever, and he says, brother, you're going to turn up to that hotel that I've told you, then I know where we're going with this. Yeah. So I'm ready for that, because I'm ready for, like, bro, what's the matter? Like, what's going on? But so when I've said to him, you know what, we don't really do that, he was just like, well, where do you record it then? And I told him, and then he was like, all right, cool. I'll roll through. And then that's when I shouted you and I said, yeah, apparently he's coming. I didn't hear from him until the actual day. I messaged him. I said, are you still coming? He said, yeah, of course. And how I knew it was going to be a good episode, bro, is when we went to go and get him. And when he came, he said, nah, you don't listen to music properly. I thought, yep, this episode's going to bang. Because I was very apprehensive about that. Because I didn't know how this episode was going to pan out. I didn't know how it was going to pan out. And bearing in mind, yeah, enough times, even at that point, not even with him, when he was doing interviews before or having conversations, he wasn't the most talkative like that, really, though. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't like, you know, you get certain people that are like, they come from a certain environment and a certain space, and their man-them is their man-them, and outside of that, they're evidently a bit more standoffish, and sometimes it takes a little while to just open up a little
Chuckie,
bit.
then you're playing down your power. Chuckie, what you've done by this podcast and what we've all managed to do is to do a very unique service that no one does in this country. We speak to the consumers that people mostly ignore. Now it's become popular to talk to them, but we've spoken to them for a very long period of time. So when you're speaking to that person, no one's going to come to you with any problems, really, because your energy is pure. It'd be very easy for us to have gone, yeah, let's just be hoes after the Nike thing. When we had the Nike situation with Jamie, it'd have been easy to be hoes and just lick everyone's ass. No, you've been talking about things like mental health or all of these types of things which are buzzwords now to talk about, from early problems in our community, from early talking about experiences from early. So when you speak from that perspective, come on, Giggs has been here from what? Early, bro. He's only going to respect it. I never thought at any point there was issues. Not at any point, because of the service we provide.
I think I'm just an overthinker, you know. And because I think as well, like, you come from a place of like filming content and having an understanding of stuff. I was just learning it through you. Okay, you was giving me confidence to, like, you know, have certain types of negotiations, or, you know, move a certain way. Or I wasn't doing, but I was a DJ. Like, and I am a DJ in my core. Like, I love playing music and I love talking about music and I love I love where I've come from and all of that. But this, a lot of things that I'm learning, I'm either learning on the spot, or I'm just watching you, or I'm just watching other people that I respect and seeing how they do certain things. And then it's like, then it starts to make sense in which I'm doing. Because sometimes I can't articulate what I'm always doing. All I can tell you is I'm just going by how I feel. Today, I think it's good if we have this type of conversation. I'm not necessarily doing it because I'm thinking it's important for this, that, and whatever. I'm just thinking, you know what, like, I'm sure that there's people out there that are like me that would feel like they would like to hear this. So I'm going to do it. If you articulate it in a certain way, then I can say, oh, you know what? Yeah, do you know what? I guess that's what it is that I am doing. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%, my bro, man. 100%.
But yeah, anyway, time moved on. We started doing all kinds of stuff and whatnot, and it just become so much of a home and like really important to me. And also, I want to just big up to everyone, that like that spent time listening to us. Do you know what I mean? From the early days, like from the audio days, passing it on, sharing it, showing love, the visual side, even people that just like came and went, like they might not have been into that, but they was into this, and they, shared that with whoever or whatnot. People do not understand, and you lot do not understand, how much that was and has been an amazing thing for us. Do you know what I mean? We've just come here and just been ourselves authentically, and the reality is that like if you weren't there, we would be here. I would be with my brethren, and I'd be sitting and I'd be having conversations. How it would look, I don't know, but the fact that it was like there was an energy exchange, and I felt like a nice trade-off that inspired all of us in like wanting to push it more and do more things and sit down every week. And even when there's certain things going on you and a man's feeling a bit disheartened or it's a bit flipping repetitive or whatever, it's like those are little things pushed man to be like, nah, I'm gonna be here and do it. Do you know what I mean?
I love the fact that we were very efficient. I like the fact that we did stick to doing it consistently, because to a certain extent it was walking into the unknown. And obviously I'm a big fan of that. I love that shit. I love going somewhere we don't know where we're going, because you know what, we're all in the same fucking position together. So there can be no ego or no hierarchy. And the fact that there was no ego, there was no hierarchy, the fact that Dan could just get involved and no one thought anything of it, and I absolutely loved being a part of this.
There's been no rules, really.
Nah,
man. Elements of it changed my life, man.
Go. Yeah, 100%.
Changed my life.
Yeah, 100%. 100% changed my life. I think this, for me, I arrogantly say this, you know how I am right now. This is, for me, the foundation on how it's done. I genuinely mean that. This is the foundation of how it's done. The consistency in the personnel of people involved. CALUM is still fucking here, for Christ's sake. The fact that we can all share memories. We can share memories from the start up until now. It's the same clientele. It shows you that it's family, and it shows you that within work you have to treat it like family, because shit's gonna go wrong, shit's gonna go great. It's all part of the journey. If you can look back with the same people and go, fucking hell, we're in an elevated position despite the issues, I just think that's just the way it's meant to be. You know what I mean? I see a lot of podcasts, chop change, and as a consumer you look at that and you get a full sense of reality. I think this gives you a proper sense of reality.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think as well, the direction that we're going in, the direction that we're going in, I'm so happy with like, our core audience and that, and like the people that just like check for us on a super weekly basis or on a regular basis, and just like the feedback and the love and the energy and all of that. Like, I just think the direction that we are going in, and with them going in that direction with us, is gonna be in the long run an amazing thing for all of us.
We had to rebrand, man. We had to change the name. Even though I know you've spoken about it briefly at the start, but when you look back on it now, we were all, man was young in it. Like, I can honestly say, if you asked me to do it today, I'm never gonna say that was the name of the podcast. But at the time, I was a very wild, very, very wild person. Yeah. Very wild. Like, that was the least of my worries.
Yeah.
And then the older you get, the maturer you get, your perspective's a little bit broadened. Like, loads of rappers were messaging me about it, and I had the same message as you. The only reason why I would still keep that message now is because I don't like people enforcing things on me. And I look at you and I go, I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong, but dance a yard.
Yeah, before you dance, bro.
Just dance a yard. Do you know what I'm saying? And then we can come back to me. Because your kitchen's a mess. It's just my bathroom. Come on. So, but yeah.
But it was like after a period, because obviously when you're having these type of conversations and that, your elements of your life starts changing. You start broadening your perspective, and like I think, regardless of whether we had guests or not, and it was just us talking, I think each person having different perspectives on stuff opens our minds to things in it and makes you see things differently. There's going to be times where I'll sit here and I'll say something to you that will make you think, yeah, shit, I didn't even really look at it like that. Same with you. Then there's times where you sit here and you're like, you say something to me and I'm like, you know what, that is big facts, you know, like that's all in the process of growing. But then as we got to that stage and I was going through these things and whatnot, I started thinking, how does it, like, going forward, as this being my home, does this help or hinder? And also, how do I, in my soul, feel about it?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? In my soul, how do I feel about it? Yeah. And when I started asking myself these questions, I felt like the fact that I was even questioning it made me realise
it's an issue.
I had to address this. Do you get what I'm saying? That was a thing for me. Like, okay, cool. I started asking myself questions about it and I started thinking, okay, like, what does this even look like? I'm sitting down and I'm thinking about, you know, some of the branded stuff that we could do. You know, I remember, like, occasionally, flippantly, and I actually never told you this before, but sometimes I remember you'd say to me, you know what, we need to do, and you come up with these amazing ideas, yeah? And then sometimes I think, yeah, sick, whatever. Then when I think about it, I think, with the name, no. Like, could we do that with the name?
And you know
then
what?
I started thinking. Then I started thinking, raw, like, you know what? There was a possibility with like a deal happening or whatever. Yeah. Then I started thinking, a poster campaign. How do I feel as a poster campaign for people who don't know?
It's for people who don't know.
Right.
Anyone who knows is
fine.
It's done. Like,
for people who don't know, how does it look? How does it feel? How if we did like let's just say, for example, just a thought off the top of the head, boom, linked up with Trapstar, you know what, boom, can we just let's collaborate, let's do a quick thing, bam, some jackets or whatnot. How do I feel about the white Don, who is really checks for what it is that we're doing, walking around with a jacket that says that and that? Because I know that I would have a cousin or a family member or whoever who would pull up my man and say,
yeah,
what are you doing that for, fam?
It's true.
And then that puts him in a situation, that puts and who I check for, who checks for me, in a conversation that they don't know how to they don't know how to even navigate it. They don't even know. Yeah. So I could be potentially putting you in the line of fire.
From a business perspective.
From a business perspective.
From a business perspective, if you look at it, the podcast is so community based. It being what it is called and the subject matters that you speak to is I'm not saying it's right, but it's able to be understood the way it's been projected. The moment you now align it with a brand that speaks to an audience which is nothing like your audience, you're giving them false information, and then that's when you have disputes. So I think from a business perspective, it's not even a good move to go over there with that information just because of the things that you said. The fact that now that's going to be a term that people are going to use quite loosely, not knowing where it's come from. Basically, just what's happened with the word nigger, for example. The fact that I have to say to a person that's white, you can't say that, and they're saying, but you say it. It's just like, well, if you called your mum a bitch, I want to walk up to her and go, your mum's a bitch. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't even want to have that conversation. I think it was right what you did. And plus, we've done it for this long anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. And to be fair, it's not like there was any like real pressure now. So now that it's happening on your terms, not on it's not like there's been recent pressure.
Yeah, Twitter's going mad.
It's not. It's been like this for 7 years, 6.5 years. So it's time to change.
I like the fact that people didn't ask me too much because they knew I was just a wildcat.
Yeah.
I was like,
people ask me.
Don't chat to me about that name, fam.
But you know as well, this 2021, sorry, like. I went through a madness, whatnot. I was spending a lot of time thinking. I was in my thoughts a lot, thinking about the future. And I started thinking, as time went on, and, you know, I loved doing this so much, and there was so many things that I wanted to do, and I loved, like, linking up with people that was just checking for man, and, like, just, there's so much elements of it that I was just loving, I just started thinking to myself, there needs to be a change. And, you know, like, It could be like, all right, boom, I'm going to wait for a name first and then we're going to change it. Let's wait for a name. Let me try and figure something out, boom. Because one thing that I am, Poe, is before I want to come to someone with a problem, I do want to come with a solution as well. Even if it means that we don't go with the solution, I'm still got one.
You should give a man an option.
Yeah.
Come on,
Boom,
guys.
we're not going to do this, but this is something that I've got in mind.
Yeah, mix it up.
Let's mix it up.
Mix it up.
So I started doing that, started thinking about that, whatever, yeah. And then I started thinking, you know what? 2022, I don't know if we could go in to the year like that. And there's a couple of people I want to shout out, yeah, which I'll shout out at the end. But one person I want to big up in particular is Tigo.
Mm-hmm.
I started taking meetings around September, October, just on a life one. Like I was just thinking to myself, you know what, like I really want to sit down with people that I respect, yeah, that are working in like certain angle of this thing, yeah, and just ask them like, what do you think that I could do? If you're being objective, what do you think that I could do to improve? Not necessarily going to take what you're saying and move with it, but I'm just curious to just hear, like, what would you say if there was something that you could say that I could do to improve? What would that be? So we're sitting down and having these conversations. Had some powerful conversations. Had a sick one with Tigo, but then I had said to Tigo, you know what, like this is something in my head in regards to the podcast that I've been thinking about, and he, like, the words that he gave me made me leave that day with an extra bounce in my step.
Yeah.
I said, you know, Poe, let's go to eat. Let's have a conversation. Me and you've gone, sat down, but we had a wicked conversation, by the way. Your energy that day was so good, man. I remember we went to Rum Kitchen, whatnot. He's already there early. Man's got his glasses on. He's red. Man's just standing out. You know his thing, innit? Poe's thing is just standing out. Even when he's at the back, you can see him. Do you get me?
I just love it.
We sat down and had a conversation, and you were so on it from the thing. Like, yeah, boom. It made your reasons for why and that as well. And I think from that day, when I left you, I was like, regardless of what happens, 2022, we're not going in. We're killing that. We're killing this half. It was good, right? Like, and we've got some sick memories with it or whatever. But we're going into the new year as something different. So, to the audience, yeah, when you saw us saying, like, yeah, it was over and whatnot, we weren't trying to play a trick on you, or play a game or whatever it may be. Yeah,
I was.
Yeah, he was. But we're telling the truth. It was over. Like, Halfcast podcast is over. But us podding is absolutely 100,000,000% not over. Not for the foreseeable and not for a long time. No. There's a lot of legs in this thing. And I think that, like, you are going to play a massive part in, some of you anyway, in the direction of what we do and some of the things that we come up with and whatnot. And one of them being an important thing. The name change. The name change. So, this is where you, yeah, as people that really check for us here, we felt like it was important to make this an inclusive process, yeah. We could have just done the thing of, yeah, boom, come up with a name, bam, next time you see us, everything all changes or whatnot. Let's do it together. Why don't you do it with us? This is what we're looking for. You are going to help us in the process of creating the name. You had an idea.
Yeah. So I hit Chuckie. When me and Chuckie were talking, I said, Chuckie, I think the audience should choose the name. It'd be nice if we could choose and keep the initials of HC. And what can you come up with HC as an alternative name to the name it currently is of Halfcast? So
this is what we need you to do, yeah? Leave that in the comments right now. Leave that in the comments right now. The person who comes up with the best, yeah? The most creative, the one that we feel like resonates with us the best, there's a prize there for you.
And also in the comments,
there's a lovely prize for you.
To make it easy for us, hashtag name change, and most importantly, like the comment as consumers, if you even haven't got a contribution yourself, but you see one, you're like, that's really good, like it, because in that way
100%.
we'll be able to look at the ones that are most liked, and it's easier to have that type of conversation. Chuckie, what's my spine? I'm back, man. Fucking hell, you think I want to be the best? It just happens. I'm pregnant hit my heart in '94. Don't let me give you my glasses. I'm the fucking
And the
best.
hair is touching the back of his
Hey, these
neck.
listen, these are prescription.
Yeah, man.
I can't see you, Chuckie. This is crazy. This is what I'm
was you going to
saying.
say something, Callum?
Yeah, I was going to say, for the people that are just listening, go to the YouTube and leave comments there of your name suggestions. For the people that are just listening.
Yeah, okay. Oh, no, wait, can they just not? Yeah, that's probably the better
It's just
thing.
the easier way to do it. Just go to the YouTube, go to the latest video and comment there.
All right, cool.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah,
Like
man.
Stevie Wonder, isn't it?
This is mad.
Is it?
Chuckie, I can't see you.
Can't you?
I can see your blue outfit.
That's nuts.
It's like the fifth Teletubby now, isn't it?
This is crazy.
But yeah, listen, like I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see what you lot come up with, and that. And I think that the next process, and you can tell you couldn't even see because now you lifted them up. Now you look like you.
Yeah.
And what makes it worse is a tint, so it's dark in the room for no reason.
Nah, but I'm super excited about it. I can't even lie, and I just think that like it's another chapter in our book, yeah, and I think it's gonna be an amazing one. There's so much things that we can do. There's so much things we want to do, and yeah, I'm just kind of happy that you lot are also in the process of us doing it because I feel like some of you, not all of you, but some of you lot are like family still. Do you get what I'm saying?
Not all of you.
Nah, not
Some
all of you. Not all of you, because someone might have just came today. You're not family yet. You got to do a little bit more than that. Someone might have just sent you the link and you've like watched the old episode and that's amazing. I like that because there's bare stuff for you. If you've just come today, there's so much to go back and watch.
Hundreds of videos.
Could you imagine? Like, I'm not even gonna
Discovering
lie.
it
I'm gonna be
today was
honest.
sick.
This is the one thing that I will do. I'm gonna be honest. If I just came across this today, like, I'm excited for the people that just come across this today.
Oh yeah, so am I.
Because you know, there's so much. There's so much.
And go back. It's like Game of Thrones.
Oh, it's crazy over here.
Go back, you watch the whole thing.
Yeah, literally. There's so much. There's so much to listen back to and whatever. There's obviously some that man had to take down. You understand what I'm saying?
People
Couple audio
stick with it.
ones,
Yeah,
couple
yeah.
visuals.
If it was up to
There's a
me,
couple classics.
Got
if
very
it was
classic.
up to me, if it was up to one thing I will say though,
God.
I'm so happy that this has happened because do you know what? I don't know when I'm gonna quit this.
Right.
This whole fucking bullshit. I don't know, but do you know what? One thing I can say, my legacy has growth. More than anything, I want to grow. And if people are doing the same thing over a course of time and they don't ever show any aspect of growth, that's how your brand dies. Because guess what? As you get older, your consumer gets older as well. And I think the fact that we can look at and make this change, I think, I would hope anyway, everyone that watches it will go, do you know what? The justification behind it, everything, like I want to support this.
And it's for
tenfold.
all of us. Like, it literally is for all of us. And do you know what? Let me
You
tell
all
you.
don't get
Can I
paid.
be honest
What
with
do
you?
we do?
Can I be honest with you as well, yeah? I'll be honest. I didn't enjoy... You see, like, when we did all of that, yeah? Obviously, I loved all of that. When I started getting the messages, like the DMs or whatever, and I was reading some of them, I started to not enjoy it. And the reason why I started to not enjoy it is because
But the pod
some of
or-
them,
The pod or reading?
no,
those?
like
the
the comments of like people thinking it was really over, yeah. Because the reason why I didn't enjoy that is because for some people it was that deep for them. It was that deep. It
Yeah.
was like, Chucks, like, I don't know if you're playing a joke or whatever. And some of them are really long messages for why it was important to them. And every time I was seeing something, I just wanted to message them and say, "Nah, bro, just rebranded." I just wanted to say that. But I was like, you know what,
man,
like,
you're
nah.
moving like me, man. You might as well just cry like Dan did on Halfcast. Arnold George,
You
I
don't know
lied.
that didn't happen.
I lied. Me and Chuckie are not in beef. Look, I'll follow him now. I unfollowed him on Instagram.
you told
yeah.
him
Oh, what? You told him a lie?
Yeah. I told him we're in beef.
So I tell them the Margs
my
one as
Yeah,
well.
sorry, Margs as well.
Margs.
Bless you.
Chuckie, follow back. Oh no!
Ah, you unfollowed Chuckie.
I unfollowed Chuckie. You're messaging me why you not following Chuck. You lot, man. It's me. Every year for years, I would say I'm gonna cut my hair off this year, and everyone would be like, no, like don't trust me.
Margs hit me up here at 12:30 at night on a Saturday, and
Ross.
he was like, "Yo," or it was a Friday, one of the two. It was on a weekend, that's for sure. He's like, "Yo, like, what's going on?" I'm like, "Nothing." He's like, I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I just come to have a moan." I said, well, "What's going on?" He's like, "What? It's over." But bearing in mind, I didn't know what he was talking about.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, what? Like, what thing? It's over. What's going on?" Then I've realised, oh, what? He's talking about the pod. And my first initial thought was, oh, what? You man didn't tell him.
Bro, every
So
time
I
he
started
tried to
playing
speak
along with
to
it.
me about it, I was just like, listen, you just gotta let things die when it's time to let them go.
This is what I was.
And he couldn't understand it.
He was thinking, by the time he's come off the phone with me, he's thinking, us lot are in some war. Because he said, he goes to me, right, I didn't even realise it was as deep as that, you know. Man, it was better I just mind my business. Still.
Margs, I love that. That's my brother, you know. Margs is my brother.
Hear the joke now,
Margs is
yeah?
my brother as well, I'm sorry.
Hear the joke though, Po. Because I was speaking to him on the phone for 15 minutes, just chatting, just going along with it, yeah? I've come off the phone and I thought, nah, man, I can't even do that to Margs, you know. So I've rang him back. And as I'm ringing him back, yeah, it's ringing and I thought, nah, I can't even tell him. I just can't even tell him, yeah? So he's answered the phone. He's like, yo, what's going on, bro? I goes to him, what's going on with Champions League of everything? And then he was like, bruv, I don't even know what's going on. What?
You had to remix the whole reason. Cuz.
Hey, Marks, the reason why I rang you back was because I was going to tell you the truth. But then I thought, nah, I ain't even doing it, bruv.
Because you know what? Yeah, the only reason why I didn't mind, because they were all gonna find out nonsense,
cool.
and we're gonna move forward.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, people. It's just mix it up, man.
Mix
Mix it up, man.
So listen, the ultimate plan is, yeah, that by the beginning of February, we are in. We are in. New brand, everything. There's going to be a lot of changes. So, jump in there, throw in the suggestions, and if you don't come up with one, and you see one, like it, you're right.
So is it the HC podcast until further notice?
Until then, yeah.
Calm.
Half concerned.
No. I swear I said
Not a bad
that.
name.
I said that. I brought that out
half
before, but I
concerned?
thought, no.
Well, I'm fully concerned, big man.
Exactly. But yeah, anyway, boom. But this, yeah, anyway, we'll leave it up to you. And also bearing in mind, yeah, no suggestion is a stupid suggestion. Like, don't think, oh, do you know, I'm not going to say that because it's stupid or it's dumb. Don't do that. Just say it, innit? Like,
No,
just do
some
that.
are stupid. Like,
Some are
happy
probably
cunt.
gonna be
I don't want to
stupid.
hear that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what I mean,
You're right,
though.
you're right. Well done for that.
Yeah.
You're
but
telling
you know,
YouTube.
Yeah.
I've been there for a while, Chuckie.
I hear
Do
that,
you
yeah.
even know what they might say the most horrible things, even
So,
though I
yeah.
like that.
And just to be clear as well, we'll still be doing some episodes throughout the month as well, still. In fact, are you available on Friday?
You're a dickhead. Fucking hell. Yeah, probably.
Alright,
Lit.
we're back on Friday. Are you free on Friday?
Yeah, the kids are gone by then, man.
Cool.
God
Dad,
bless
if you're
them.
about, you just fling true.
All right, Molly
yeah,
May,
boom, man.
I'm coming for you Friday. Trust
Oh my God,
me.
this is a good
You know what? It's
conversation,
time.
You think I'm furious? How about that? I'm coming for you, Molly.
Hey, yeah, listen, but yeah, hey, thanks for fucking with us anyway. We proper appreciate it, and we'll be back on the other side. Yeah,
Your beard is beautiful, you know.
blessed love every time.
This beard is beautiful, guys. I can't lie,
Blessed
bro.
love every time. Yours
When I
was
look
going
at
back.
you know them American.
yes.
You look like them American guys, fam.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like proper like
When he does
American.
the ice cream, like,
Hey, see you later, man.